one of the highlights to Starfield is building ships. And if you've enjoyed doing that, well, I think you're going to love being able to build space stations. Yeah, you can do it. You can build these behemoth space stations. Doesn't cost you any credits, and it works quite well. I mean, there's a few things we need to go over just to make sure you have a good time and not a bad time. But outside that, it is phenomenal. Now, some people have got docking working. You sort of have to build it a certain way to get that working, so that can be done. And then there's other mods that you can get that you can use to decorate, which means you could have some crazy fully functional outposts / space stations. Because down the track, the legendary mod creator, which is vexthecollector, plans to fix docking, fix the teleporting from station to outpost and vice versa. The mining ship, not exactly sure what that is exactly. He's also looking to do a cargo transfer, so to and from outpost. So he's also going to fix cargo. So you do have cosmetic cargo things that you can attach, but right now they do nothing. So there's so much potential here. Now, the interesting thing with all this is that this has already been pre-built. This all existed. It's just Bethesda didn't turn it on, didn't finish it. It does really feel like they rushed Starfield out to all the bugs and issues we've been having. But at least we can get some first insight and glimpses into this amazing functionality. And I've had so much fun building space stations. I spent a few hours mucking around with this. I can give you a bit of information of how to install it, the things to look out for, because you can definitely trip yourself up and get in a bit of trouble. Some tips and tricks on just to make sure you do this safely so it doesn't mess with your saves. And just a few other little bits and pieces just to ensure you don't make all the mistakes I did to save you a ton of time. Okay, so let's get into it. So the first things first, we're going to install the mod. Now, because this was already built in the game, it's not really a mod. It's basically just turning on this functionality. So it is a very simple install if you've installed other mods. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail about this, but I'll just go over it quickly. So the installation process is really just downloading into your mod manager, whether that be Vortex or the mod organizer. So it should be pretty straightforward if you've downloaded mods before. Now, do note he does suggest to have the plugin.txt enabler, which is a pretty straightforward process. So if you do download this into your mod manager, been deployed, you have any issues, just follow this step. So first things first, we want to go to the local file, so the app data local Starfield, and you need to create the plugin.txt file. Now, you may already have this. If not, just create it by just right-clicking and go into text document and just renaming that to plugin.txt. And once you've done that, we simply need to have a hash we need to start with the hash always. So just have that there, Starstation test.esm. So you add that in, you save it. Bing, bada, boom. That should unlock this for you. That should be all you need to do. And this is just a very quick run through of how to install. Now, I can try help you if you do have any issues. Do let me know in the comments. Otherwise message on the actual mod in the posts. There's a lot of people who've gone through a bunch of issues, so you'll get most of the information here about how to resolve any problems you have. Okay, so let's get into the goodness of this. So first off, what we need to do, first thing is you want to select a moon or planet, preferably one that doesn't already have a satellite, and two, just a moon or planet that won't cause as minimal issue as possible. So just be mindful if there's other things that are orbiting around that moon or planet, you don't really want to set it up there. Now, for me, what happened is when I built my first star station, it didn't work. I spent hours doing it and it just wouldn't seem to render or load incorrectly. I'm not sure why. So for me, it only worked the second time. So perhaps what you could do, build an outpost anywhere. You'll build the required building, which we'll come to very shortly. Throw on a few things onto the space station and then check to see if it's actually appearing in orbit. But we'll go through that in more detail, because if it's not appearing, you don't want to spend a lot of time on it and just to realize that it's not actually working. But for whatever reason, the second time, because you can build multiple, the second time I built a space station, it worked perfectly. And I built this absolutely magnificent beauty. Okay, so let's get down to the bits and pieces that are really important to know. You need to build an outpost because we're going to be building the space station orbital control. You'll see this orbital control. Now, it will cost you a bunch of resources. So just to note, make sure you got plenty of iron, aluminum, beryllium, and 0 wire, because you will need this to build it. And it is huge and it looks absolutely fantastic. Once you have built it, we need to go over to the control terminal. Now, a few things to note here. It can be really easy to rush this part and you can get into the wrong menu. So just take your time. So you look at it, just tap E once because if you tap it too quickly in succession, you can end up accidentally teleporting to the space station if you've already built one, and that can cause a bunch of problems. So just keep that in mind. Tap once, and then once we're in the terminal, we'll get the option to modify Star Station or teleport to Star Station. This is why it's critical not to double tap the E button, because if you do that too quickly, you will teleport. So you want to select modify Star Station, and now it will bring up the storm ride. It will bring up your current home ship first. So you just want to go to the last entry, which might be 10 or whatever it is for you, and you'll see the very basic building blocks of the outpost. So this is what it'll always start like. Now, what you can do is once you got to this screen, you can just exit straight away and go to your map and try visit it to see if it's rendered and it's actually appearing. And if it has, then it's a good chance that you're free to go to start building a more complex structure. It's a great idea initially just to check to see if it's actually working. Now, if you did go check and it is there, then head back out to the outpost, back to the terminal, and then we get into the ship builder just like normal. And then it's just a matter of doing the normal process of building the space station just like you would a ship. You have a ton of different components, things you can add, and they're absolutely huge on size and scale. Now, the important thing is getting the docking work has not panned out for me, but many people have figured it out. So definitely check out the comments on Nexus on how to fix the docking, because it does work. I've spent too much time building and I haven't sat down and worked out where I need to place the docks to get it working properly. But apparently it is just adding enough docking entry points for it to work. But for me, no luck yet. So let's just say you've built it all out and you're really happy with it. And then you go to exit the builder, and then you just go to exit like you normally would. So you'd accept the changes. It will say transporting all your cargo like it normally would. And then when you exit the first time, the game might look like it's frozen, but it just takes like a good minute sometimes, or a minute or two, for the game to load the space station in an orbit. So do note the game's not crashed or frozen, it's just loading. Be mindful of that. But once you can move again, what you can do is you can save the game, and you can click on the terminal again, and you can go teleport to Star Station. Now, if you do this, it can cause a fair few issues. At least the first time for me it did, because what happens is you teleport there, but your ship's not with you. So there's no way to actually leave the Star Station. You can go to a terminal if you can find it. That will say teleport back to Outpost. And that can sometimes work to get you back to the Outpost, but God knows where the terminal is. Normally in that first building that you see when you very first start to build your Outpost. But there are a few things you can do if you do get stuck on your space station. Now, they say not to try use the quick travel, but I had success doing that after the first time. Another thing you can do is you can type in a COC command, and that way you can get out of it, teleport you to another location. I'll put that in the description just in case you want to use it. And then you'd go to the technician, set your home ship again, because the ship won't be there, and then you sort of can carry on as normal. The other thing that's really important is to make sure when you are on the space station, you teleport it to it, that you don't open up the ship menu and make it your home ship, because that can cause a lot of issues as well. But outside that, if you have any issues, just load back to that save before you went to the space station. Now, you can also visit and fly to your space station as normal, as it will become an icon on your map surrounding that moon or planet where your outpost is, which is really cool. So it acts just like a proper space station in that way. You'll be able to fast travel to it, and in some cases dock with your space station. But do note there's a ton of bugs and issues still around this. Some of the components you'll fall straight through because they haven't actually been properly built. But it's a really cool start, and it's a ton of fun building these space stations. They will work down the track, but it's just early days. So just going back to the builder, my only biggest problem I had with building was that pesky error that says modules unattached. And you really need to use the select all command, where it selects all of your ship that is joined together, and it will highlight it red, and anything not red means it's not attached. So keep that in mind. That's the only real issue I had. And that was a bit finicky because it took me quite a while to figure out what wasn't attached. Even though it looks attached for whatever reason, you'll just have to move it and put it back into place, and then it'll be like, oh, yep, it's actually attached now. So for whatever reason, that's a bit of an issue. But I mean, that also happens in the ship builder. But outside that, you don't really get many errors. There's no docking requirement. You can build a space station with no docks. The only thing you can't really have is unattached modules. So there's so much flexibility if you're not worried about, having the functionality of docking. So I find this to be freaking amazing and awesome. It's a ton of fun. Now, I'm going to be doing follow-up videos on this as we get more mods to support this functionality, because we still got quite a while till the creation kit comes out. which when it does, holy moly, this is going to be the best game. So I'll leave this with you now. I hope you get a chance to try this. It is amazing. If you have any issues, thoughts, or comments, please let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out. Please like, subscribe, and all that jazz.